Well, hello, this is Deborah Johnson, and today is all about your personal operating system. And why is this important at halftime, at mid career? Well, it's the missing link between experience and ease, and it helps us to stop recreating the wheel. My college education feels like it was really way back in the dark ages, as it never mentioned the term entrepreneur or personal operating system. And even though there were computer operating systems, the personal development and entrepreneurial emphasis and metaphor of a POS or personal operating system, it didn't really start appearing in blogs and discussions until the early 2010s. So today, there comes a point in life and business, often at that mid career or halftime of life, and those are the people I usually speak mostly to, when this question is no longer, can I do this? But how do I keep doing this? And so many accomplished professionals, they find themselves exhausted, and not because they lack ability, but because they're just recreating systems over and over again. Every project feels like they're starting from scratch, and every assistant needs a fresh explanation. And every post, email, or piece of content requires unnecessary mental effort. And so this is where a personal operating system, or a POS, becomes not just helpful, but essential. So stay tuned.
Power of After is for you at mid-career, halftime of life, helping you maximize your skills, resources, and experience. We have courses, products, and help to make this stage of your life your best and most purposeful ever. Don't miss a single article, free download, or podcast. Get all the latest at goalsforyourlife.com/newsletter. Now, let's dive into today's episode.
What is a personal operating system, or a POS? Well, a personal operating system is the repeatable structure that you use to run your work, your projects, and your creative output without reinventing the wheel each time. And I learned the hard way after letting a virtual assistant go how important an onboarding document was as part of my personal operating system. And it felt like I was starting just from scratch as I hired a new VA. It was hard work. So think of a personal operating system as the invisible backbone of how you operate. Your POS answers the questions like, well, how do I start and finish projects? How do I capture, store, and reuse ideas? And how do I communicate expectations to assistants or collaborators? How do I create and distribute content consistently? And here's a big one. How do I decide what not to do? Wow, that's a great question. Unlike rigid productivity systems designed for early career hustle, well, a POS at the power of after stage, which is that mid-career halftime of life, it's built on experience, discernment, and sustainability. And it's not about doing more. It's about doing what matters with less friction. I love that. And I have to admit, creating my POS, my personal operating system, it's been a very gradual process, and I'm still adding and revising it at times. Because our lives and our businesses change every year almost, especially as creative entrepreneurs. But the goal is to create systems that make life easier and our business run smoother. So let's talk about this, creating consistency and sustainability with a POS. When I was younger, I could get away with cutting corners on sleep. And if I was deep into a project, there were times that I'd wake up in the middle of the night, quietly walk down to my home office, which was also my music production studio, and I work on an idea that just wouldn't let me go. And after a couple hours, well, I'd just crawl back into bed and grab a little more sleep before the day began. And at the time, well, I just didn't even think much of it. I was productive and the work moved forward and my body it just seemed to cooperate. But over time, especially at this stage of life, at the halftime of life or a little after, I began to notice how much more I needed consistent quality rest. And I now function far better when I go to bed early enough to support the early hours that I keep. I sleep more soundly. I don't even wake up when our little dog gets up anymore. I think more clearly, and I have more sustained energy throughout the day. And part of that is age, but a bigger part is awareness, listening to what my body actually needs instead of just pushing through. And that realization, it directly shaped my personal operating system. And today, my POS is intentionally designed to conserve mental and physical energy. So I'm not relying on those late night efforts or adrenaline, but on systems that support clarity, creativity, and sustainability. And it also gives me more freedom for travel, for working in my yard, which I love, and other activities like pickleball and spending time with friends. So here's why most people never build a POS or a personal operating system. Early in our careers, chaos is often disguised as growth. I mean, it's just part of the process, right? We rely on adrenaline, long hours, and just sheer willpower. We keep everything in our heads and we solve problems as they arise and then we move on. Well, that works for a while. And while I've already shared why some of that adrenaline really worked for me for many years, but over time, the cost becomes clear. There's decision fatigue, inconsistent results, bottlenecks when delegating, and creative burnout when projects they take longer than they really should. Or sometimes they don't even get done completely. Now, many high capacity professionals, they're unknowingly running on just a fragile system, one that collapses under pressure or change. And many creatives, they just wait for inspiration to strike them. And that's dangerous if it's the only benchmark for creating projects. Blocking out time to think and plan is not wasted time. And I wish I had actually applied that principle even earlier in my career. Sometimes you just feel guilty for just taking time to think. I didn't understand that. A personal operating system, it replaces that fragility and indecision with clarity and continuity. And I've personally worked very hard through the years to put some simple systems together that are sustainable to make my creative process run smoother, consistently, and effectively. And I continue to get lots of projects completely done. So let's talk about the power of after perspective. And I love this because you're not starting from zero. One of the biggest mindset shifts at halftime is this: you're not building from scratch. You are building from experience. And there's so many who are discounting their skills, their experience, and their resources at mid-career or the halftime of life. And creating and implementing a personal operating system, it's not theoretical. It's drawn from what's already worked in your life. And you already have systems. You already know how you think best and when you're the most creative and what drains your energy and what energizes you and produces results and what you tend to repeat again and again. You just need to identify those things. The goal of a personal operating system is not to add complexity, but to identify and codify what you already do well. And this is the essence of the power of after framework, turning lived experience into leverage. And I transparently share some of my personal systems, and they're simple in the Power of After book, but you will create your own. So here are 4 core components of a personal operating system. I hope this helps you. Get the article that comes with this. It will really help you. A strong POS, it doesn't require fancy software or endless documentation. And in fact, it is so easy to waste a lot of time on that fancy software actually to learn it or to put it in place. So beware of that temptation. Make it easy. A strong POS, it requires clarity in 4 areas and keep it simple. And by doing so, it will give your POS a better chance for sustainability. And here are the 4 components. Number 1, A project flow from start to finish. Every project, whether it's a podcast, an episode, a course, or an event, it should follow the same basic flow. For example, capture an idea, outline that idea, start the creative process, review what you've created, and then make adjustments, then finalize the idea, distribute it, and archive it. Now, I do this with podcasts and the accompanying articles, videos, and takeaways for every single weekly episode. Every week I do this. Now there's a system, and sometimes I bulk record and I bulk do this, but there's a system and I put it together and it works. It's simple. I don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. And if I want to do something a little different, a little more creative, well, at least I have the basics to build upon. So it's not going to be overwhelming. It gives me freedom. And when this flow is consistent, here are some of the results. Projects move faster. Momentum continues to grow, and I can continually keep my team working without constant instruction and direction. Now, this does not mean that I don't check up on them. I do this consistently. So that's very important management principles, and I've learned my lessons on this. But I can multiply the time I save. So I don't have to explain how every time, but I can explain what I want. And also with the current technology, my team can work anywhere in the world with consistent communication from me that's not overwhelming. We have technology that can do that. And number 2, create once and use often. Many of us at mid-career, well, we have a gold mine of content. Oh, I have so much content. For example, I've written multiple books and I've trademarked some of my content that I consistently use in courses, coaching, and additional content. Plus, my newsletter has been going over probably 25 years now. And that content, it can include speeches, articles, emails, notes, stories, online programs, frameworks, and more. And if my content is not organized, it's scattered and even forgotten. I've struggled with this. It takes work to organize that and keep it organized, especially for a creative. I just want to keep creating content. So to keep my content organized, I have to work and consistently pay attention. It's constant, but it pays off, especially with our current AI tools. They are amazing. I have a personal chat GPT. If you've not clicked into my chat GPT, make sure that you look at some of my content and my articles. I'm constantly, and my newsletters, I post a link usually there. It helps me create my POS in different areas because it already has my content. It has my books. It has my information. And it's amazing. And it will continue to grow in the years to come. Technology is moving so fast. A good content system, it answers these questions. Where do the ideas go when they show up? And how are they categorized? And how are they repurposed? And how do they connect across platforms? You can ask AI so many things like that. And every system will be different. There's no one way to organize. But your system should become an asset. It shouldn't become a burden. You should have it organized that it's easy to find, easy to see. Boy, I am talking to myself here because I constantly have to do the same thing in reorganization, especially I'm putting this out. I'm recording it at least at the start of a year. And these are big organization weeks for me because I'm cleaning old files and looking through computer files as well as physical files. It's a lot of work. So after this point, though, when we're creating those systems, we can stop asking, well, what should I post today? We can start saying, what already exists that I can reuse? Oh, that's wonderful to be able to reuse some that people forget. And we do too. And we can build upon it. Technology is increasing so fast. I cannot tell you how freeing this is. And to be honest, this organization I've shared is not one and done. If you're creating content, you're gonna need a system. You have to have a system because it will become overwhelming. So 3 as our steps here is your delegation playbook. Okay, this is hard for creatives sometimes. It's a difficult one, especially for self-sufficient entrepreneurs, and I'm one of those. Oh, I understand this so well. Have you ever thought this? Oh, it's just faster. I'll just do it myself. Yes, yes, and yes. But that's not sustainable in the long term. I know that. For a good POS, there should be clarity with a written process, especially make it specific enough that you can farm it out. Simple checklists, clear expectations and outcomes. Even with those virtual assistants, I try to meet with them online at least once a month. It's very, very, very helpful for me as well as for them. And it makes your work just repeatable, and it keeps the quality up. Very important. And repeatability, it has the power to free up your time for higher level thinking, creativity, and leadership. And it also, well, it frees up that time for time off. And it's a big part of the process of creating the type of lifestyle that many, many people desire at mid-career or the halftime of life. Organization alone is not the answer, but a repeatable process that specifically works for your area of emphasis is. Number 4, and I'm going to review all of this at the end, your decision filter. At the halftime of life, with our accumulated skills, experience, and resources, there are many, many opportunities, but with only so much time. Our personal operating system, it can help with our decisions if it's clear and specific enough to align with our core values. And I cannot emphasize enough the importance of core values. They should lie at the heart of our purpose. Core values, they help to distinguish whether an opportunity fits our current goals, both short-term and long-term, and if it's something that we truly, truly would like to do. And without those filters, even good opportunities, well, they just become distractions. But with a good filter, our POS, it can help to protect our energy, our focus, and our time, which is truly our most valuable resource. And one of the most overlooked advantages of a personal operating system is that it can create space to think. And when those logistics, the decisions and process windows are systemized, your mind no longer is just consumed by all those micro choices, those little tiny choices. You have the big picture. And as a result, we can spend more time on strategic thinking, reflection, creativity, goal setting, and course correction. Time we spend thinking is not wasted time or laziness. It's self-leadership, which really rarely happens without some sense of structure. So let's talk about our POS, our personal operating system, and the Hero Mountain journey. Well, in the Hero Mountain framework, a solid personal operating system, it supports every single stage of our climb. And I talk about this quite a bit in my Women at Halftime book, also my other books. The Hero Mountain journey, it's part of that Power of After framework. First of all, clarity. You know how you work and why. And then mindset. You move from reactive to intentional. Very important. Structure, where your system holds the weights of your goals. You're not just doing it all yourself. You have a system. Implementation. Well, your projects, they progress without constant just friction. They're going to move ahead step by step, tiny step by step. Growth. You refine, not reinvent. So your POS, it becomes that rope system that keeps you moving upward without unnecessary strain. And I do talk about, in my Women at Halftime book, I talk about the cables of success. Very interesting discussion there on that Hero Mountain climb. And I have application at every single cable, every single one. It's a very good book to do. Even the men, it's a very good book for you to read. To be clear, your personal operating system is not meant to be complicated, rigid, or it's not meant to be just someone else's system or a one-time setup that you never revisit. It should be simple, adaptable, and personal, and it should work for you and be something that you actually use. Now, this matters more now than ever because of the onslaught of AI, and there's endless tools, constant content, rapid change, and growing expectations. And without a personal operating system defined, well, it's easy for our experience to just get buried under a bunch of noise. And even with a simple system, our experience, it becomes compounded. We move from being just so busy to being focused. We move from being reactive to intentional, and from exhausted to sustainable. And that shift is at the heart of the Power of After framework. So let's apply this. Oh, this has been a lot of information today, but I'm going to give you some application points here and make sure you get the article. The link is in the show notes. It's easy to access. So we want to build once and benefit repeatedly. So the goal of a personal operating system is not just efficiency for efficiency's sake, but it's freedom. And this is what we want freedom to do. We want freedom to think more deeply. We want freedom to create with intention. We want freedom to delegate with confidence. We want freedom to finish what we start. And we want freedom to enjoy the work that we've built. Now, you have already done the hard part. You've lived the experience. And now it's time to design the system that will honor your experience. Even if you put some of this in place, take the time now to put more of it in place. I'm doing the same thing. Here are the next 2 to 3 steps that you can take right now, today. Number 1, list what you repeat. This is important. Take the time to write down the tasks, the projects, or the explanations that you've given more than 2 to 3 times. Okay? What are you repeating over and over again? Put it down on paper. Put it down on your some sort of device. Number 2, choose one area, just one for now, to systemize first. Maybe your projects, your content, or your delegation. You don't do all 3 at once. That will be overwhelming. Just start with one little area. And number 3, document good enough. Now, a simple checklist or outline, it's better than waiting for perfection. Now, remember, perfection is the enemy of done. Your personal operating system does not have to be finished or perfect to be powerful. It just has to begin. I hope this has really, really helped you. It's really helped me to go through this. Every time I'm revisiting goals, I'm revisiting implementation of goals, which have been some of our most recent podcasts that I've put out, some of our most recent Power of After shows. It's very good for me because I've gone through my goals. I've gone through my quarterly reviews. I've reviewed my year. I've shared some of those with you on some live streams. And also I'm continually working on refining making it simpler even, my personal operating system. And I'm kind of revising some of my content that I already have in my content bank. I talk about this in my Power of After book. So I'm revising a little bit of that. I'm updating it. And it's easy to do that because I have a system. So I urge you to put this together. I hope this has really helped you. Make sure you connect with me. I do take a certain number of private clients twice a year. I take on those. And so if you're interested in that, just message me and we will have a conversation. I'll kind of see where you're at and see if you're a good fit. Thanks so much for joining me, Deborah Johnson with the Power of After show. I love this. I love being able to be with you and I hope you've enjoyed. And I will look forward to being with you again next time. So bye-bye for now.
Thanks so much for spending time with me today. I love bringing you insights to help you maximize your skills, resources, and experience at mid-career and beyond so that you can make your next chapter your most impactful and purposeful yet. I'm Deborah Johnson, and I can't wait to be with you again next time on the Power of After show.